But yeah, I mean, and I could be, they could have just been busy. It's not, you know, it's not always what I think. I'm not always accurate with what I'm thinking. But that's just kind of the impression I got. Because I'm like, this person did kind of ask me quite a few times within the months after having the tickets, if I had the tickets or if I was going. So if they knew they weren't going, I feel like they were the ones checking in with me if I was still going. So I feel like they could have, you know, I don't know. Like I feel like they kind of knew what they were doing, trying to keep me in the dark. But then I was kind of in my head about it for like most of the day. Um, but that kind of stuff doesn't always happen, and I've kind of learned how that person is with stuff too. So I've kind of learned that they're not really as solid with scheduling with things, especially if it's not something that they fully want to do. They're not fully committed. So, and they're right, they don't have to show up to things, but I don't know. I kind of wanted to go to that concert to do it with them, and so just how they weren't really there. It was a 2-day thing, and then the next day they didn't even go. They wanted to like meet somewhere else during the concert, but that day I went with the friend who actually wanted to be there, and we just raved the whole time. But I was just like, no, I don't want to hang out with you at the bar. Like I have concert tickets and the concert has started, or festival tickets and the festival has started. Like that's why I came here this weekend, was to do this. I'm not changing my plans. I don't want to do that. I can do that any other day. That bar is always there. These DJs are not always here. So, the second day, I mean, they were there, but I didn't really spend a lot of time with them. And that's just how it went. I was like, I'm only here till this amount of time. And being the other friend wanted to be kind of upfront. So we didn't, I'm not bending for people. I already bent like a whole day. So I was more comfortable just sticking to my own plans. But no, like that kind of, that's probably the only time. And I'm over it, honestly. Like, I've learned from it, and I'm just like, okay, this is how it is with this person, then I'm just gonna, I'll plan accordingly when I plan with them. Now I know what to either expect or what to not expect. You learn as you go with people, and that was a time where I had learned from that situation. Kind of how things were gonna go if I'm planning with that person. And it's okay now, because now I know how to plan with them, but that's the only time I can really think of where I've been like upset going out with friends. And not like upset, like, was I? Was I upset? I think I was, because I do remember venting about it a lot. So I think I was upset. In retrospect, I'm kind of over it, so I'm kind of like whatever. But in retrospect, I do kind of have that feeling where I'm like I think I was like upset with the situation. I was kind of like, I didn't want it. When you think about how something's gonna be, I did not think it was gonna be like that. So I was kind of disappointed that it went the way it went. Because I maybe got to hang out with them for maybe like an hour instead of 2 days. So, that's okay. that's what they wanted to do. They didn't want to be there. So, um, but I don't know. I think for me, when it comes to music related things, I'm kind of learning there's some people that just don't vibe with certain types of music, certain types of events. And when people say, I don't like events with alcohol, I don't like events with a lot of people, I don't like crowds, I don't like, like EDM, I don't like hip hop, I don't like, metal or whatever. When they start saying they don't like certain things, you got to kind of like pay attention to what they say, because they're saying they don't like those things because they don't like those things. And so if you're going to invite them to something, you can't really expect them to act like they're going to like it. And I guess that's kind of where I went wrong. I was kind of like, well, this person has actively told me they don't like music festivals, they don't like EDM. And so why are we buying tickets to this festival? But I think they were buying tickets to try to, you know, do something that someone else wanted them to do. And then they were like all excited. They're like, oh, like this person's coming with us. We're both going to be there. And I bought tickets because I was like, well, I really wanted to go. I've been wanting to go to like a festival with these two people. But one of the two people did not want to go. And they never wanted to go, and they're never going to want to go. And they didn't enjoy it, and it's not their thing. And they already made it clear for years before this event that it's not their thing. So it's kind of, that's what I'm saying, where I'm like, well, I learned, it's like this person doesn't just have fun when it's something they're kind of not into. Like, I can be like that. Like, I'm not super into polka, but if somebody invited me to a polka concert, I'd probably go, and I'd probably dance, and I'd probably have a good time. It's maybe not my favorite style of music, but it's like, give me a couple whiskeys or something and, put me on a dance floor, I'll figure it out. Like, but I don't know. Like, I don't know though. I'm also very easygoing with music. I'm a music lover. Even though I don't like actively listen to polka, I've heard certain songs. Okay, I know that like a lot of the Latino music is not polka, but it's got a lot of instruments that can be kind of similar. And that like folk style music, and I like live instruments. I like folk music from different cultures. Sometimes it's a little like, okay, like it can be a little bit obnoxious if I'm not in the mood for it, but otherwise it's like I could see myself getting into something like that. I went to like a bluegrass freaking thing with my guitar and was trying to like jam under the trees with these random like people. They're like totally in the bluegrass, and they're like, you don't know what you're doing, do you? I'm like, no, I don't know what I'm doing. Do I look like I play bluegrass? Like, it's like, no, man, I play metal. Like, I'm like, I'm not familiar, but it was a good time. I was like, I learned some patterns, some chords. I learned like kind of the patterns of the music and stuff. Like, I was totally into it. It was like something that happened up in Poway. I don't know if they still do it. It was before the pandemic, but I think they used to have this like festival once a year, and they had this little jam session, and I literally brought my guitar, and I was like, yes, I'm gonna jam with these guys. And I tried. I jumped in, and I sure tried, and I don't think I did well, but I had a good time, and that's the kind of stuff I'm into though. So I get it that other people don't want to do that. I get it that people don't want to sing karaoke. I get it that people don't want to go to metal shows or punk shows or all that stuff. I get it. They don't want to do it. They don't want to try to sing open mics. They don't want to do any of that kind of stuff. They don't want to do the creative things and all that kind of stuff. That's not their thing, and I get it. It's not for everybody. And when people say over and over again that it's not something that they want to do, like, why should I expect them to just wake up one day and want to do it? Even if they did pay $200 to $300 to do it, why would I expect them to want to do it? So, but I do notice it kind of made me a little less, not loyal isn't the word, but a little less likely to bend over backward for things. I'm like, as much as I do like to hang out, I'm like, I did kind of feel burned by that, but I'm not trying to like get back at anybody, but I feel like that did kind of make me kind of change my attitude a bit as far as making plans. Some plans sometimes. I did notice that my attitude was a little less like even for Black Pride, for example, I'm going Friday, and I'm kind of like, that's the day I want to go, and everyone else wants to do this like beach thing, which seems cool, but I kind of just don't want to go to like a beach thing, and like I don't want to drive all the way down to San Diego to like hang out at the beach in San Diego all day long, because there's other people I want to see too. So I'd rather just go Friday. That's the easier day for me, and I'm kind of like, well, I got tickets for that, and I want to do other stuff. Like, it's gonna be my first days off. My first days off in a while. I get the 4th off. I get the 5th off, and the whole weekend. So I'm gonna have like 4 whole days off, and that's gonna be the first time I get 4 days off. And I need a break, and I kind of want to see a bunch of people. So I don't want to take my Saturday and fill it at the beach, because the beach is kind of like an all-day thing. You don't really just show up at the beach for like 30 minutes and then like bounce, you know. So I'm kind of hoping to meet some people on the Friday night, hoping to mingle a bit, and then I mean, I don't really know what else. I'm kind of just like, yeah, I'm not gonna get too like bogged down with plans. I think I should look forward to my plans, but maybe it's one of those things that's like you don't want to self-sabotage. Like, maybe that's why I get so critical or like skeptical, and I'm like, oh, like this might not work out or that might not work out. And I do worry sometimes that people might just everybody who is scheduled to join will just cancel, because that is a thing that does happen. And so it would be like, oh, I'm looking forward to going to like finally have a gay day or go do like a certain thing, and then everybody's like, sorry, we canceled. That happens too. Not a lot, but it does happen. I'm never surprised when it does happen. I'll put it that way. So maybe it is kind of like a protective thing, even though I'm not usually so worried about that. Like, my mind goes to like worrying about other things, but maybe that's more so what it is that people might cancel, and then I was looking forward to doing this, or like, you know, because I still like to party and go out and stuff. I feel like I'm not going out as much as I want to, and I don't really know a lot of people who can afford to or want to, and I don't want to pay a lot to go out, but I would like to go out probably almost every weekend at least, and so I'm trying to like arrange my life accordingly. Even if other people don't want to do it, I'm gonna go do it. And then some of those times will be with other people, and some of them will probably be by myself. But like I said, this summer I plan to be out and about, meeting people, going to places I haven't been. There's a little stress involved with that, but it's also a little bit, it's more exciting than sitting at home watching YouTube on my phone, because that's what I would be doing, or maybe the gym or the beach or something. But it's like, you know, if I'm home, you know, I'm trying to like at least be more creative when I'm home. And if I'm not creative when I'm home, you know, having some, you know, variety of experiences, because I need a little spice in my life. And so it helps to kind of get out and get that spice, create that spice on my own. But yeah, I did say before that I was going to kind of explain some of the social stuff, and I forgot that I was going to explain some of the social situations that come up when I'm what was the one, how I was, when I was for LA Pride weekend, I kind of came to like a realization where, you know, I did kind of realize in my mind, I was like, you know, when people say something, that's kind of what they mean. So when they say I might be able to make it, that might means maybe. It doesn't mean yes. So if somebody says, oh yeah, I might be able to meet you next Sunday, that means maybe. That doesn't mean they're confirming. They haven't confirmed at that point if they're still saying they might be able to. And then if I try to get in touch and try to confirm with them, hey, are you going to be able to make it? And then they don't respond, or whatever version of that, you know, I shouldn't get too concerned. Because if I get too concerned, it's like, well, they never said yes, they never confirmed. I was just assuming they were gonna say yes. But if that's not the case, then that's not the case. And so, because I feel like I tend to be like more excited to see people when they seem like they're interested in doing something. But I've also noticed, and maybe it's culturally a Southern California thing, maybe it's just a regular thing that all people do, I don't really know, but I've realized I get kind of excited about when people want to do something, when they say they want to do something and they seem like they're like pumped up about it, and I'm like, cool, they're pumped up about it, they're gonna want to show up. And then my mind goes, therefore they're like probably 99% likely to show up. And that in fact is not the case. So so that's not the case. And people, like I said, like people tell you what some people flat out lie. They do. But I feel like most of the people I know don't flat out lie. Most of the people I know are just pretty passive in their planning. And they don't really say yes, but they make it seem like they're interested and like they're going to say yes. But I'm starting to realize that until they say yes and show up, then that doesn't mean yes. Until they're there. Until we're all there, it doesn't mean yes. And so I've kind of realized with certain people in certain situations or whatever it may be that, you know, they're just not going to show up, or they're not going to mentally be there, or they're not going to emotionally be there, or they're not really going to want to be there, and they're going to be like bitter. I don't know many people like in those categories anymore, but I grew up around people like that. They would be like, they'd come to hang out and they'd be like in a really bad mood because they didn't really want to be doing it. You know, I used to have a friend that would show up at lunch or dinner or whatever, and we'd go out as a group and they'd just sit there with their eyes closed. And I'm kind of like, why did they even come out? Like, it kind of just spoils the vibe, you know? It's like you just want to have fun with your friends, joke around, hang out, and there's someone who just seems like they don't even want to be there. And you could kind of try to talk to them, and they don't really want to engage in conversation, and it's just like, what are you doing here? You're just sitting there with your eyes closed. It's like, what are you even doing, you know? So, I don't really know. Like, I feel like, you know, people have the right to cancel if they want to cancel. People sometimes don't feel well and they have to cancel. It's going to happen. I have to cancel sometimes. I'm not 100% perfect at it either, you know, but, you know, I try to be reliable, but also I feel like it's up to other people too, how they want to spend their day and spend their time. And if they don't want to do something, even though they said they're going to do it or want to do it, if they don't want to do something, they shouldn't. Should they force themselves to do it? You know, what do you think? I don't think they should have to. I mean, when it's me making plans, I would like it, but, you know, because usually I invite people that I want to see. I'm not like, oh, thank God they didn't show up. Like, I mean, I have been like that at times where it's like, oh, I didn't expect all these people to confirm, or for this other person to invite that other person who doesn't like that other person. And then one of those people cancels, and they're like, thank God, because that would have been a disaster. They would have been arguing or whatever. But again, I don't know a lot of people that do that anymore either. But I mean, I have definitely known people that I've known a variety of types of people, and I am grateful for that I've known, but I feel like maybe lately there is like a crowd, there's a crew of people that I'm kind of newly hanging out with in different ways, and haven't really been able to navigate specifically, like if they've got a health issue, or they've got an energy issue, or they've got something going on, if it's a financial thing, or if they've got something going on where they just kind of can't commit to things. Like I'm usually not one to cancel on people, but I canceled on people when I had this maybe TMI, but I had this what do you call it? I had a I guess you'd call it like a heavy flow. I had this what do you call it? Like I was on the depot injection for birth control, not because of birth or getting pregnant or anything, but because they thought potentially if they could curb my menstrual cycles, that it would potentially be less bleeding and less impacts on my anemia and iron levels. And what happened in April, there was just a lot of bleeding going on for a while, and it happened to be during the time when I had scheduled to go to someone's event, and I was like, this isn't going to be really comfortable for me to like go to this event when I'm going to be like worrying about like, oh, gotta go to the bathroom, oh, gotta go to the bathroom, oh, gotta go to the bathroom, like probably once every hour or so, if not more. Like, I'd rather just stay home, if that's going to be the situation. And so I was just kind of like, I got this bleeding thing that's been going on for however many days, and I'd rather just not go. I mean, luckily they understood because they've had the same experience, but I mean, I'm not used to having to cancel on people for reasons like that, but I was honest about it. Like, it wasn't, some other thing. I mean, I was supposed to help my friend before move out. I couldn't. I just wasn't feeling great, and that's just how it was. Like, there have been things that I've canceled on people, but it's been few and far between. And when I do cancel, there's a reason. But I feel like a lot of times when people cancel, there's a reason. And nobody can predict. If I make plans for next week, I can't predict if I'm going to get COVID, if I'm going to catch a cold, if I'm going to wake up and catch my foot in the sheets and like fall and bust my lip and get some weird injury and feel embarrassed to go out until it heals, or whatever. Like, I don't know. Like, it could be any little thing, car breaks down, car stalls, unfortunate car accident, lose your wallet, somebody hacks your account and takes all your money. It could be anything, so I'm not trying to think about the negative, but I'm just saying, like, nothing's set in stone until it's already, people already showed up, and it's already, the event has already come and gone. Nothing's really set in stone. And so that's kind of a little social thing I've been kind of learning, is not to get too tied up in all that, because it's like, people are going to do what's best for their day. It doesn't mean it's best for my day because I'm in the mood to party. Not everybody's in the mood to party. So if they're not in the mood to party, maybe they shouldn't come to the party. Like, it does make sense. Hey, if you're not in the mood to party and you want to cancel because you're not in the mood to party, like, why would you come to the party if you don't want to party, So, I don't know. It's not always such a clear-cut thing, but, I try not to be like, oh, like, these people did this to me. It's like, I mean, it goes both ways. Um, and I don't know, some people just, I like to go out a high amount. And I know quite a lot of people that, well, a few people that like to go out quite a high amount. I'd say there's a lot more people who kind of like to go out a medium amount. And I know a lot of people who barely like to ever go out, and you only really see them when it's like a few times a year at like a major event. Like there's some people I literally only see at Black Pride or San Diego Pride, even though, you know, we've hung out a lot, but it's come down to that's the only time I see them. There's people that I only see like that, where they only come certain times of year. So, or when we can only coordinate at certain times of the year. So, I don't really know. I'm like, um, you know, I don't know. It's easy to get upset about things. And I'm not saying like, okay, let people like abuse the situation and just like never show up and always cancel and always like, but you know, you can kind of tell when people actually want to hang and when they really don't, and when they've just got, you know, it's hard to like estimate and predict how every day is going to be. I've been through time periods like that too, where it's like, I think I've gone out when I probably shouldn't have, you know, and I was maybe like in a mood or in a fatigued state, or just kind of like where I should have just been like, no, the answer is no, I should probably stay home and rest, you know. But I've gone out where people have been like, you know, asking me kind of like, are you okay, or like, or whatever, you know, because I would notice like I'm kind of like in an irritable mood or something, and it has nothing to do with them, and it's like, am I ruining this person's, you know, afternoon, you know? Like, I specifically remember being in a Jamba Juice with a friend in Bankers Hill. I think it's like over by the Rite Aid, and we were gonna walk over by the bridge and just like hang out and just like chill. This was like during the pandemic, and they had some coloring or something to do, and I was gonna just like chill, like drink a smoothie. And they were like, are you okay? And I could feel that I felt like tense, but I tried to like explain it, but I was like, in my head I was like, oh yeah, I'm fine. Like I didn't really realize that I was coming across that way. And then I kind of realized it later, when I didn't experience that tension so often. I was like, oh man, like I used to go out and I'd be tense often, you know? And I don't know what it was. Like maybe it was because I was drinking C4 in the mornings and the crash from that, or maybe it was really like another mood thing, or, you know, who knows what it was. But I've definitely experienced that, and you know, I know other people do too, and I've been around them. When it's like, when you're around them, you're like, why do they even come around people? They're so like grumpy all the time. But I've been that grumpy person, and so it's like, yeah, maybe I should have stayed my butt at home and canceled, you know. So you know, and to some extent I gotta respect it, you know. It's like, people know themselves. I don't think everybody's like, everyone who cancels every time is doing it because they're flaky. I don't think that's what it is. Some people, maybe they would get the label flaky because their energy maybe fluctuates so much that they're always canceling. But I mean, like, people's energy fluctuates. And especially these days, I've noticed it more and more with more people, myself included. And it takes a lot for me to maintain a daily kind of routine to make it so that I don't have to cancel on people and things like that. It just takes so much. Like, you know, sleeping, eating right. Like, there's a bunch of stuff that I know I have to do. But that's how it is, you know, we have to take care of ourselves. And that's something that I'm getting used to doing. It's like, I'm getting used to what it looks like to take better care of myself. And part of what that is making plans that I want to make and not really minding if other people don't want to do it, you know, on the same day at the same time. Because then I'm like, okay, like, say if I go to, in my head, I'm like, I don't want to go to this beach thing. It might be fun. It might be perfectly fine. But the only reason I would go is because of hanging out with certain friends. But I'm like, I can still see the friends. I don't have to go to this thing. So let me go to the one I want to go to that's at the club. I don't want to go to the one that's not at the club. I don't want to go to like a beach day. That's not really what I want to do. I might end up there if there's nothing else to do at all. I'm not going to just like sit around the hotel. But if there's nothing else to do, I'd rather go to that. But um, if I have a choice between something else and that, I'd rather do something else. So I'm waiting to see kind of what comes through. I've got some plans in the mix. But yeah, I guess that's the social stuff that I wanted to talk about. A good 30 minutes of that. But it's kind of helping me. It helps me kind of like mentally just be like, keep things in perspective. I don't think I'm looking at it too it's not so focused on me being a victim to certain situations. It's like everybody's got their own role in it and their own things that they're balancing throughout the week just to try to get to the certain point where they can show up to events. And I don't like planning events anyway, so I'm really not going to try to plan too many things. This other one, I just wanted to solidify because I had to figure out like hotels and all this other car rental stuff. And I don't want to wait because people are like, oh, we're going to get our tickets soon. And I'm just like, dude, I need my tickets now so I know like what I'm doing. So I just bought the ones that I was going to buy, but I'll see. I'm hoping Inglewood Pride went good. I'm kind of gonna look into footage about that. But yeah, I think that's about it for now. Let me get off of here. I think I took you guys through my whole LA Gay Day for Pride 2024. This is Pride Month of 2024. LA Pride was like 2 weekends ago. This what I'm talking about is LA Gay Day, which is what we kind of jokingly call when the LA friends get together and go to gay places for the day. And then we'll see what comes up next. I mean, there are these other events coming up next. I'll see if I get into anything randomly in between. Alrighty, y'all. That's it for now. Thanks for listening.